Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host Paul James, and I'm again joined by Jay Parnas. You don't want to know what just happened before we started recording.
You need to stop it. You need to give me some warning.
I like this.
Just as you were saying welcome to, I'm like, fuck.
Who cares? We're going. This is a great start. So this month we're talking about season passes.
Oh, good. We're live. Look, cool.
We are live.
Hi.
This is a thing.
Welcome to Patch.
This shit show continues. So we're talking about season passes this month, kind of where they began, where they are now, the development, where we see them going.
Yeah, just like the life and
we
times.
switch into serious mode.
The rise and fall, I would say, of
flailing.
Not flailing, just the abject misery that they are now. Just basically what they are and where they've come.
So before we kind of kick it off, it's probably important that we talk about what season pass we have or haven't obtained in the past. So
sure.
Like, have you picked up many over the journey? There's some we have in common, like Borderlands.
Yes, Borderlands is probably most notable.
But they're one of the good examples of it.
Burnout Paradise. I bought some season pass content for, or at least some DLC that was eventually created into a season pass, or effectively what was a. So that was very early on. So it was kind of before that whole season pass model existed. But I bought their piecemeal stuff.
Not too many though, for the most part.
Not. I'm just trying to think. Like I feel like in the Xbox 360 era, there was a few.
See, I picked up. So we spoke about Borderlands. I picked up the one for Skyrim for PS3.
Yeah, no.
But then that took me. No, actually, I didn't do it for PS3 because they were having all these DLC problems, so they didn't bundle them up. They just kind of released them all at the end, much cheaper.
Yeah, right.
I've gotten some for Assassin's Creed over the journey early on. I've since stopped doing that. But Ubisoft's got a really interesting little strategy at the moment where so when they have their different versions of the SKU come out, like they're advertising for pre-order, you've got your stock standard version of the game, you've got your deluxe edition that might include a statue or whatever it is they're trying to flog off there, and then they've got what they've been dubbing the gold edition, which includes the season pass.
Yeah, so that's some of the stuff that's happening now.
It hides a little bit of that cost. It needs a little bit of it too.
I mean, look,
because they tuck it in the same.
Yeah, so I guess to sort of give that framing.
So I've got that, just to be clear, so we can continue with this particular point. I've got that currently pre-ordered for Assassin's Creed Unity and South Park.
Yeah. Well, so the reason I'm diverging is because what originally was DLC packs, obviously they've come from
horse armor at the beginning.
What? No. They've effectively come from what was expansion packs.
Yeah.
Right. That's the original source, I guess, of the DLC, and then obviously that's then become the season pass, which is you receive our entire season of DLC, which is basically, hey, all the shit we're going to put out for this thing because we're only going to support it for the next 6 to 8 months, and we want to put out some extra stuff so we can get some extra money and not put this on disc for the full product, and that's kind of where that came from, I guess. So then from there, I guess we started to see the rise of what was known as Game of the Year editions, which is basically... It
still happens.
Absolutely, yes.
And in the capacity that you're about to talk about.
It basically is just the original game and all the season pass stuff well and truly after the fact that it's been released.
Back at full price again.
Back at full price. So the game
and they justify it because of the extra content that's now
correct.
Been added in.
And then, and so we've sort of...
done it several times.
Oh, fucking Skyrim.
I've got to, because it's an example of...
No, you're right.
Stuff
you're right,
in
it is.
a bad way.
And then I guess you got your HD remakes, which are kind of also like a Game of the Year edition, but also an up-res.
Yeah.
And then you've got your current season pass model, I guess, which is where it's almost the Game of the Year edition, but you're buying it before they even announce what the season pass is. So instead of it being...
And see, that's the weird situation that I'm in at the moment with Assassin's Creed and South Park, where I don't really know what the content is. It was fairly decent value, what I was getting there, and I've been happy with Assassin's Creed DLC over the years, so I was happy to do that in that case. South Park, I only pre-ordered it because...
You're a fan of the franchise.
I'm a fan of the franchise.
Yeah. And you like the other game.
And that was a cheaper season pass than many others that I've seen. So.
And is that does that one come with the Stick of Truth as well, or do they all come with the Stick of Truth?
I think everything comes with Stick of Truth if you pre-order.
Fair enough.
That said, I thought you were meant to get a code for it, and if you are, then I didn't get my code.
You maybe get it.
Maybe
at
it was
point of release.
day and date. I don't know. There was.
So that's kind of the overarching timeline, I guess, of what has, like, where season passes have come from and where they are now. But to sort of dive into it, I guess, were there any notable examples, like before the season pass model, that were there where you were actually buying DLC for games, like that you can remember?
I mean, I've bought like standalone pieces.
Yeah. Or just like piecemeal bits where it's like cosmetics or map packs or...
cosmetics, no. I mean, I've bought some little cosmetics for my PlayStation profiles in avatars and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean specifically game DLC.
Not in-game sort of cosmetic stuff, no.
Never?
No, that doesn't bother me. Like, I'm the sort of person that if I get faced with an RPG of some sort and it's your character creation stuff, I'll pick the default, I'll go with the default name, I just move on. Like, that's the character that you kind of conceived in your mind, so I'll go with it.
That's fine.
So I don't care too much about that sort of stuff. If I get something free for some reason, sure, I might consider it if it looks cool, but I'm not going to go out and pay for it.
Sure. All right.
Like, we deliberately, it wasn't until the first slice of Zelda DLC came out, we deliberately did not buy the season pass for that, just because we didn't know what that first one was going to be like. We felt fairly confident that the Champions Ballad, is that the one at the end of the year?
No, that's this one. I think the other one is the story DLC.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure that was the one that was called the Champions Ballad.
Oh, the Champions Ballad, yes.
Yeah.
No, this one's like
we're supremely
like
confident that's going to be fine.
Edition or
yeah, that's
something
the one. Yeah, Masters Quest.
Champion Master. Sorry.
We're super confident
Master
that
Quest. That's what it was.
we're super confident that the main portion of DLC at the end of the year, that story one, that'll be great. But we were a little bit iffy as to what this one would be. We waited to see what the vibe was from people. Then we're like, because Nintendo aren't selling that piecemeal.
No, it's
season pass. That's it.
But was there any...
once we saw that was good, we're like, okay, cool. We got that. Guarantees our download at the end of the year and the free Nintendo Switch shirt and all that sort of rubbish they gave us.
Was there anything back in like the early 360 PS3 era that you bought into?
Are you still talking cosmetic or
just in general? Like it doesn't have to be cosmetic. Like it could be story DLC. But was there anything?
Yeah, I picked up some like standalone story DLC
like before the season pass concept was there.
Yeah, I did things like the epilogue for the not Tomb Raider, 2008 Prince of Persia game, the one that basically they didn't have the ending. Like the ending was
that the
hidden behind
cel-shaded?
DLC. Yeah. Which was a great game, but that ending was just like the fact that they kind of basically made you pay
extra
to get the ending was ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
And that was an example of Ubisoft doing the wrong thing in that particular scenario.
Sure. Fair enough.
There wasn't that many I got, but it's only really like for me, the most part. I'm not a big multiplayer person, so I don't really get map packs or anything like that. I don't care about the cosmetics, so really it only comes down to story DLC
content.
So
like real content.
Yeah.
Like for me, obviously, like some of the Burnout Paradise stuff, it's obviously not story content.
Yeah,
it's a fucking racing game.
But it's more of what you're looking for in that.
Yeah, like it was an island with like all the same sort of
so that's the
billboards and
that's
jumps
the equivalent version.
Yeah.
So for me, like I picked up Skyrim DLCs. I picked up The Last of Us Left Behind. Those sorts of experiences that were more missions or whatever it is. That was the sort of stuff I was looking for, so I had no problem doing.
Well, then
that's why we jumped on Borderlands.
There's also
everything was in that Borderlands DLC, whether it was Eve 2 or the pre-sequel or even the original.
The original
was just more.
Of
the stuff that you liked.
I bought the original because the original, some of the pieces of DLC were actually you could buy them on disc. I remember loading them up onto your
version. That's the version I think I've got.
I sneakily added some to your 360, but
appreciated that. Yeah. Sorry, Randy.
Fuck it. Put it on disc. You're going to abuse it. Like, it's your fault. And no, not sorry. Tell us more about Borderlands 3. Fuck you. But basically, with
2019.
There's also, to add something to the timeline that I mentioned before, there's also the mini full-fledged game, like the mini game, like the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragons of the world.
Oh yeah, I've picked up those sorts of things as well.
The old Bloods.
But that's all right. Like that is just another game.
Standalone. Like, was The Last of Us one of those?
Left Behind became a standalone thing afterwards.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was originally. Actually, I think the edition I picked up might have had a season pass in it.
Okay.
Well, but I even consider that a bit of an out. Like I wasn't picking up that edition because hey, it's got a season pass. I picked that up picked up that version because I'm up Naughty Dog's arse.
It's true.
So I'm not going to deny. I think they're the best developer in the world, but I am up their ass. So, but I picked it up because I want this game. I love Uncharted. I love what they do. Don't like Crash 1. Check out last week's episode for that. But everything they do is gold in my eyes for the most part. So I was just like, I'll get this edition. This is the
You've never
biggest,
played the
fanciest
original
edition.
Crash one.
No. So my mind could change. We'll see. I haven't played CTR.
Just to retain your in sphincter mode,
Yeah.
just to ensure that there's no questions left unasked. So moving on to like the sort of, I guess what you would call almost the golden age of like season passes, where they were very much like divorced from the game. They were very much, they had to work for your money at that point. So you're thinking like your Fallout 3s,
There was
your
a
Borderlands,
big backlash
Borderlands
for
2.
a while there. So then those ones had to really nail
There
it.
was, yeah, they really did, and they really had to work very hard. Like the Minerva's Den.
EA did some dodgy things that basically put a lot of people offside.
They did.
And Capcom as well. Scenarios where you bought the season pass, but the content was already on the disc,
Yes,
and so
there was
basically you
a
just
lot of that
paid to
stuff.
unlock the stuff that was already on the disc.
Which is
Something
now
very important. Now it doesn't really happen.
Now it totally happens. Now your discs are installs, so whether you like it or not, it's there. It's just hidden better.
Like I spoke about in last week's episode, the Crash thing. There was no download when I downloaded that level. That was on disc clearly, but whatever. That's fine.
But yeah, I mean, at that point, I feel like we were looking at DLC content like that was really meaty and worth your time. Like some of the Borderlands 2 DLCs, some of the best content in the game.
Oh,
Tiny Tina's
Jesus.
DLC campaign,
That is
Mr.
fantastic.
Torg's DLC campaign, they are arguably better than large chunks of the main game itself, just with how irreverent and interesting they are. Obviously, Minerva's Den, a lot of people would say that that's better than Bioshock 2 in and of itself.
Yeah, and that's kind of what fueled Steve Gaynor and Co to go off and create their own studio, which produced Gone Home. So
Yeah. And then you've got obviously stuff like Fallout 3, which there was quite a lot of acclaim for
and really well received, that DLC.
Yeah. New Vegas had some stuff, but that was less well received.
Skyrim's was really well received.
Grand Theft Auto 4,
Yeah, Ballad of Gay Tony and
Liberty
Lost
City
in the
Stories.
Damned. And Five's had a lot of multiplayer stuff.
It has.
Story. I'm fairly sure they said there was going to be some at some point, and they just never addressed it again.
Yeah.
Red Dead, Undead Nightmare.
Undead Nightmare, which I guess that falls into the standalone category
Yeah.
of the Blood Dragons of the world. Yeah, I mean...
Sorry if you hear some noise here. It's just started raining.
Yeah, welcome to winter. Which, coming from an American summer in the last few weeks...
It's been a bit jarring.
Mate, it's rough.
I'll be doing the opposite at the end of the year. So
Yeah, it's true.
we'll see what happens for patch while I'm gone.
It's...
So where do we see season passes headed? Given that the current state is, let's try and squeeze them into our collector's editions when we can.
But that's the thing. I feel like you're getting less bang for your buck, and people are referring to them less and less as a season pass. And what they are referring to a season pass is just assumed content. It's just, oh yeah, we're going to continue this story, or oh, they'll be after the final mission story. Like it's like we're going to continue it, but it's also going to be throwaway enough that we're not going to force you to buy it. Does that make sense? Like it's this really weird non-committal, but also, hey, you should really pay for this, and you should buy our collector's edition, so that it's going to come with that. You get it for free. Hey man, it's cool, right? And a lot of the time they're not telling you what's in it. Like you'll have things like even Watch Dogs 2 had that, where they said, yep, we're going to have 3 mission-based DLC packs as a part of this season pass. They didn't tell anyone what they were or what the content was going to be, and they slowly rolled that out and things like that. Not that, like, I really liked that game, but because of things like that, I was definitely opposed to buying season passes.
It's a lot of a trust thing. Like, if you get burnt by someone, you're less likely to trust them when they roll out and go, look, we're not really telling you that much about it, but Batman, they told us nothing. The people bought season passes and knew nothing about what was going to be in it, and then people were not happy with the content that came out. So they did more to kind of make up for it, but damage was done perception-wise at that point.
Wow, it's coming down.
Yeah,
huh?
it's really starting to come down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, look, it's I don't know. Like I would be happy to see.
Nintendo does good stuff. The Zelda stuff's been good. What they did with Mario Kart 8 on,
Yeah, but
on the Wii U,
they're still new to the entire idea of downloadable content whatsoever.
That's because they've for the longest time not had a functional internet.
Yeah, but I mean, you can say their stuff is good, but look at the Smash Brothers stuff.
Yeah,
look at how that was awkward, and you had like the character packs.
The rollout was awkward,
but also the way that the character packs were priced and what they were charging you for was very dubious.
Yeah,
like they couldn't just be like, cool, just buy everything, or don't buy anything. Like you could either buy the individual characters piecemeal, but you couldn't buy some of the other content that would come with it. If you bought them 3 as a team, because they did them as groups of 3, I believe, 3 or 4, and then there was also some Mii stuff, but you wouldn't get the full list of Mii stuff unless you bought the bundle. Like there's like everyone's done dodgy stuff. It's not new to anyone because people get away with it, and because of what I feel like is the decline of the real quality of it. I feel like I mean there are definitely exceptions to that, obviously.
Oh yeah,
like The Witcher, for example. Yeah,
have we not gone this? Yeah, sorry, I don't know how I went this long without talking about that.
Yeah,
the best game of the generation.
So far.
Oh well, I know I haven't spent nearly enough time with Zelda yet. That's another one that should be in that pile.
That's true. I think it should probably just go away. I think we should go back to square one and just have expansion packs.
I just don't know if we can at this point.
I feel like we are in the best situation too because everything is digital now. Like I feel like having digital expansion packs to games is the best way of just make it either have a game where you are planning to constantly update it for free and then charge for some paid stuff, kind of like Diablo or Overwatch. Obviously Overwatch hasn't done the paid part of that yet, but have a game that you plan on supporting for multiple years and very much space out your cost or barrier for entry.
Yeah.
Or cluster everything together and fucking just go. Just have the one big expansion and that's it. You're done. Like, none of this, we're going to do season 1 and it's going to have 2 campaign packs and then you're not going to get told what that is and then it's 2 hours a piece and then next year they're like, hey, season 2, it's going to have 3 contact packs this time and they're all 1 hour long.
You're getting a few more of those sorts of things when it comes to multiplayer games. So I think about
Destiny.
Well, you got Destiny, but the one that really sprung to mind was Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah,
they've had year 1 and they've outlined the entire year, like this is what you're going to get, yours to then decide what you want to do with that information. Did the same thing with year 2, like, and here's our plan for the year. We may not hit these dates to the letter, but like this is our rollout plan for the year. This is what you'll get if you.
But
buy
that's
this.
different.
I think that's
a support. And I would say the same about Hitman last year.
Yes,
Hitman.
I mean that was an episodic structure, but yeah.
But I mean,
they still had more rolling out in the meantime as well.
They did, but all of that stuff was free.
Timed hits or whatever they were.
The elusive target.
That's stuff.
Yeah, but all of that was free of charge. Like once you had bought in to get the base game,
and that's it.
You would so that's the thing. Once you purchased the game, the way that the episodic was done was that you would get all those DLC packs, but also all the little bits in between that they were supporting. So when I'm saying either have your game be a long-term supported product or do an expansion pack, I feel like those are two, like episodics fall under a game that is supported for a period of time, in my opinion. Like, yes, you could argue, well, it's not a full game until all of the content's released. Sure, that's fine, splitting hairs, but fine. But what I mean is either, you need to go either way. Where we're at the middle is not, it's this murky...
Yeah, grey area.
Where companies can get away with asking for a chunk of money for a game that's a high-profile game and then really underdeliver.
Yeah, and they can and they can brand to
and so it's either okay, you charge for your expansion pack in the same way you would charge for your game. Just say, hey, it's this full-priced add-on product. Like, for example, like a Street Fighter to a Super Street Fighter. That super add-on is just an add-on. None of this, like, I have to buy my characters piecemeal or season pass of this season of characters or any of that sort of stuff. If you want to upgrade your game or give me a 1.5 of this game, give me an expansion pack, and I'll if I want to buy it, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
maybe include some demo stuff with it, like you would with a full game, where it's like, okay, if I want to test this new stuff and see if it's for me, go for it. I think that's probably where we should go. I don't think that's where we will, because that's not economically sound.
Feasible for some of these big
in
companies.
other words, it's not, you can't bleed people for money easily with that. I think that's the...
Given our previous some of our conversations in our last topic, I think we really need to talk about microtransactions at some point. But just because all of a sudden we're starting to hit some of these similar beats.
Yeah, but it's true. But I feel like microtransactions, like I was saying in our last episode, I feel like they've lightened up on that in a way that they've not done with season passes. Like microtransactions feel like, when they're unjust or unkind microtransactions, they stick out these days because it's not very common.
Yeah.
We've been and gone past that era of, hey, you want to get free materials to build your weapons up with, just pay us a couple dollars. Hey, you want Praxis points for your fucking Deus Ex?
Yeah.
Give us a couple dollars, you can buy experience points.
Yeah, I know.
Ridiculous. Like, I feel like we're past that now, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I don't think anyone would get away with that now.
Yeah.
Because it's too obvious.
The pay to win sort of thing.
Yeah, and I feel like that there have been so many other games now where the microtransactions have been fair, just, and also generous in providing some of that paid economy to the players for free. I feel like you wouldn't be able to get away with that now.
Yeah,
whereas with season passes, there hasn't been that graciousness, that kindness to the player yet for people to call people out on their bullshit.
Yep.
And I think when that does happen, and whoever does it will be heroed forever, when it does happen, I feel like that's when we'll see the dramatic shift that we really need to have, because the idea of a season pass, it doesn't even fit the name anymore. Like a season pass was you're buying into like a TV series worth of extra content.
And you're not.
You're not. No.
So, here's some cosmetic stuff. Here's one single player level. Here's some multiplayer maps.
That's not a season. That's like channel surfing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're getting such a mixed bag. It's like putting that under the guise of an expansion pack makes way more sense, because you're hitting all these different beats and you just cluster it all together.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, that's where I see that should go.
No, I think we're largely on the same page there, actually.
Yeah. It's just a shame that I don't think we will.
So I guess as we wrap things up, I might ask you guys, the viewers, if you've got any games or franchises that we've not thought of as examples of really good use of season passes, or really poor ones,
or horror stories.
Let us know down the bottom, because we rattled off a few things that sprung to mind, probably because we had a vested interest in whatever that game was. But there's some others that maybe you felt burnt by. So let us know down there what you think,
or you feel enraptured by, just completely
good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah,
let
us know. For sure.
And Borderlands, yes, we all agree, Borderlands is awesome.
And look, the Handsome collection and like the BioShock collection and all those sorts of games where they have collected everything and they also add in
the DLCs.
The DLCs. You can, it's really when those come to the forefront that you can actually see season passes that have had significant value and ones that haven't. Like, you can see that, like, adding in the season pass DLC for BioShock 1, not really that great value. But when you start talking about Minerva's Den on top of BioShock 2, and also, BioShock 3 and Infinite, that's right, not 3. There was no 3. And again, Borderlands, adding all those stuff together, you really
start to see that value that was there.
Yeah, exactly, and you start to see why people pay. And I remember it was $40 for the season pass for Borderlands, and that came with.
But we didn't hesitate.
No, because that came with. They said right out the gate that comes with 4 content packs. Now with the pre-sequel,
and they said what those were too.
That's right. With the pre-sequel, on the other hand, they didn't do that.
Yeah,
they said 4 content packs.
I think it's because they didn't know.
Well, two of those content packs were just a playable character. Yeah. There was no story missions whatsoever. It was just, hey, here's a new playable class. And that's when people started to get burnt by that.
Yeah.
So that's why, for example, I bought the season pass without hesitation for Borderlands 2. Didn't touch it for the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
So
like I said, let us know down the bottom there if there's any that you like or dislike. Make sure to visit player2.net.au for all the awesome written content. Hit the site for all the stuff. If you've checked out last week's episode, you'll know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Player 2 Marathon. Paul James P2 on Twitter, Player2AU on Twitter. Jay doesn't do Twitter.
No, but if you go to player2.net.au/DLC, you'll be able to purchase our season pass coming out next month.
Yeah.
Not really. You might want to buy that.
We'll money grab you.
You might want to buy that web address, man.
So I'll create a little feature tab. Matt will hate me. But he's not in the country at the moment, so he doesn't know what's going on.
Sorry, mate.
So, until next week, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you later.
Peace.